Welcome. We're a small group tonight, but my belief is that whoever needs to show up shows up. So I'm happy to welcome you. Thank you for coming. So the sun is in Aquarius, the moon is in Leo, and we're fortunate tonight actually because this is the actual day of the full moon. The exact moment will be 11:33 this evening, so if any of you are inclined to stay up that late, it's a good time to be in meditation. I'm going to start with something that I've read before, so it may be familiar to you, but it's something that my daughter wrote several years ago when she visited here and I wasn't home. And she came in and sat in my meditation chair and was meditating, and when she finished meditating, she wrote this beautiful blessing. And I'm going to read it because it sort of segues into what the Aquarian energy is all about. So it's up there on the wall. I keep it up there because it is really just a blessing for whoever enters the house. And I thought it was so beautiful that I wanted to share it with you, also because it has to do with Aquarius. May all who enter this house feel truly welcome, just as they are. May all who enter this house dwell in ease of body and mind. May all who enter this house feel the comfort of belonging to family. May all who enter this house receive that which truly nourishes. May all who enter this house be inspired to communicate that which is honest and kind. May all who enter this house know that in this place they may rest, free of judgment, scorn, or expectation. May all who enter this house be filled with light, laughter, and joy. May all who enter this house feel the trees, the sky, the light, and the birds surrounding and supporting them. May we take the strength and goodness that we receive here and share it with the world. So this is Aquarius. It's about distributing. Aquarius is a distributive energy. It wants to circulate. It wants to send forth. And we've just come down from the mountain of Capricorn. We've talked before about how one sign sort of segues into the next sign. So we climbed that mountain of Capricorn on our spiritual journey to reach the top. We were filled with the light of the soul when we finally reached that top, and were transformed and transfigured. And we make our way back down the mountaintop then to enter Aquarius, where our purpose is to share the light that we've received in the mountaintop. So it's very interesting. Every astrological sign has a correspondence to a body part. I don't know how much of this is subjective, but this is what I've been taught. So it's very interesting that Leo rules the heart. It's a fire sign. It's passionate, energetic. And Aquarius rules the circulatory system. So the journey becomes in Leo to use that passion and that courage and that energy to form a really strong sense of self, to really develop the self and become the independent individual. And then at some point on the journey of Leo, they need to go into that heart and widen it and expand it. And that's when the energy of Aquarius comes in. So Leo is the blood pumping in the heart, and Aquarius goes out and circulates it throughout the entire body. So I think it's really interesting to study the correlations of the body parts to the signs, because it teaches us a lot about the qualities of that sign. Leo is a fire sign. Like I said, it's passion. Aquarius is an air sign. So it's a little more detached, a little more mental. So when you bridge those two together, you get intelligent love. Open-hearted, but with boundaries. Open-hearted, but not letting everybody in. Open-hearted, but not identified with. A little more detached. Stand back a little bit and observe. So some of the descriptive words for Aquarius are unconventional, and that's because one of the ruling signs of Aquarius is Uranus. And Uranus is always about thinking outside of the box, not doing anything in the traditional way. It also brings that electrical charge of change, which can be a little disruptive at times, but it's very powerful. And Aquarius is also group-oriented. So some people have said, you know, think about Leo as the soloist and Aquarius as the choir. So that's kind of an interesting way to look at it. Aquarius is detached, like we said. It can be erratic. It's the free spirit, you know, someone that just likes to go off and do their own thing and not be constrained by social mores. It rules the 11th house, which is the house of groups, of friends, of hopes and desires. And so this is a month to call in your group, your tribe, your allies. My astrology teacher Heidi Robbins says this about this month. Who do you want to play with this month? With whom do you feel most alive? Who inspires you, lifts you up, awakens you? So this is the time to summon them. Aquarius is the sign of group collaboration. So can we build something this month together? Can we create something together? And I look upon our full moon group, whoever shows up, as our group, as our allies. We're building something together every time we come together each month, because we are joined in a unanimous intention to be open and receptive to the energies that are coming in. And that creates this amazing magnetic pull that brings those energies down. And we anchor them in that way. We become a chalice that's open and receptive, and as the energies pour into our bodies, we anchor them into the earth. So we're building something together each month when we come together. And this is a very powerful and vital group, and the energy builds each month. You know, it doesn't just go away. I mean, I get to live in it, so it's really wonderful. It stays here and it builds. And so think about that this month. If you get distracted or depressed or feel a sense of despair, who can you call on? You can call on this group. You know, anytime you're feeling disconnected, you can go into the silence and just place yourself back in this house. Place yourself back in this circle of people and call on that energy of that group to support you and sustain you. It's a wonderful use of the group energy, and you don't have to be here in person to experience it. You can go back in your mind's eye anytime and re-experience it. So if we want to summon our allies, we have to be courageous enough to sound our own individual note. You know, our allies aren't going to come running to us unless we have a strong sense of ourself and what we have to share and give to the world. So another wonderful astrologer, whose name is Carolyn Casey, says this about Aquarius and the Uranian energy around Aquarius. This is an affirmation that she wrote about. Let the winds of change blow through my life, bringing the most radically enlivening thing that could possibly happen. I mean, how many of us are willing to say that? Then she goes on to say, I'm hoisting my sails. Parasail me into the place where I can connect with my allies, and together we can do the most good. So, I wonder, can we even imagine those allies that might be there to help us welcome the most radically enlivening thing? How many of us really even open ourselves to welcome change, and not even welcome it, but are willing to experience it? Can we just open ourselves to be willing to experience change? I've found in my own life that when I resist change, that somehow the universe just keeps pounding away at me until I finally recognize what's happening. So there can be violence, there can be disturbance, there can be chaos. And so a perfect example of that is when I fractured my shoulder 5 years ago. When I was ruminating about it later, and after I'd recovered, I thought, well, what was that all about? And I remembered that 3 times before that big fall, I had tripped or slipped and kind of fell down. I had tripped over something in the hallway in the middle of the night that I didn't see, and I wasn't hurt, but, and I thought, wow, I wasn't paying attention, right? If I had been aware, mindful, paying attention, I would have recognized, 1, you need to slow down, and 2, you need to pay more attention to where your feet are going. You need to remember that you don't have the body of a 25-year-old anymore, and you can't go leaping over baby gates and not expect to get some damage done. So it's been my experience that when we're willing to bring change into our lives and we don't resist it, that we can transform without all the chaos. Because I think the purpose of the chaos is just to wake us up to something. What is it that I'm not seeing here? What needs to change? So, as much as you are capable of, I would invite you this month to at least say, I'm not going to resist the change, whatever it is. And if you can, look at it from the perspective that it's waking you up to something. You might even be able to get to welcoming it into your life. Someone said, if you're not in the middle of a crisis, you're not growing. So, all of us like our comfort zone, but we can get stuck there, right? We can get so nice here. I just don't want to move. I don't want anything to change. I don't want anything different. Well, but the thing is that, we don't move forward. I mean, change is really what drives us forward, because it always occurs when something needs to open up in us. Something needs, it's our next edge. What is it, the next step that we need to take in our own evolution? That's the purpose of change, I believe. So Heidi Robbins goes on to say, Aquarius wants us to distribute, circulate, to gather. So stay open, be curious, talk to people, join forces, do it differently. Share your creative genius with your pals. Share. Come down from your mountaintop and offer it up. Experiment. Improvise. Be the lightning rod for your bolt out of the blue. That's Uranus, the lightning rod. Then speak that inspiration. Share it. Dance it. Engage it. Sing it. Take a breath. And in that silent moment between inhale and exhale, listen for the secret sound of your approaching allies. So, on the highest turn of the spiral, the Aquarian energy becomes the world server. He has this perspective of humanity as a whole and how he can be of service to humanity. He or she can be of service to humanity, as opposed to the Leo personality, which is mostly concerned with his own integration and development. Aquarius says, I want to serve the larger picture. Without prejudice and without identifying with one perspective, one particular perspective. He's got a broader perspective than just one way is the way. So he joins rather than divides. And these are some of the qualities that were going to emerge in the age of Aquarius that we're entering right now. Equality, diversity, innovation, and reform. I mean, it's hard to imagine that right now, given the situation of our world. But that is what's emerging, and that's what the future holds. I mean, the fact is that we're experiencing right now 2 astrological cycles having to do with Aquarius. So Aquarius energy is going to be with us for a long, long time. Even though you may not have Aquarius strong in your chart, it's somewhere in your chart. And because of these 2 astrological cycles, it's going to be impacting us individually and collectively for many, many years. So one of the smaller cycles is a cycle of over 2,000 years, and the larger cycle is 26,000 years. So it's going to be around for a while. And we are just about a couple hundred years before the end of the first cycle. In 2160, they say, is the end of that first cycle. So we've got another couple of lifetimes before some of that Aquarian energy really starts to take hold in our culture. And it also depends upon humanity, of course. I mean, things aren't going to evolve without our cooperation. So it depends upon the choices that we make individually and collectively. Because by the choices we make, we can either speed up the timing of our evolution or we can slow it down. It isn't going to stop it. Nothing will stop the evolutionary process, but we can slow it down if we make poor choices. So think about your own individual life and the choices that you make on a daily basis. You may think they're not relevant or not important, but every time we make a choice for the positive, for the good, for the welfare of the whole instead of our own individual ego, we add to that collective consciousness of the world, which expands everybody's consciousness. So Philip Lindsay is another esoteric astrologer who has studied the history of humanity from the level of evolution of consciousness. And he's done a lot of research on this new age that we're being told we're going into. And he has predicted that there's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be a lot more focus on unity and synthesis. And he extrapolates that it will hit these major areas of our culture. That there'll be a new financial system, a new monetary order that will be a cooperative energy around the right distribution of resources. That it won't just be in the hands of a few, but it will be organized and run by a cooperative effort. A global currency, universal management of the Earth's resources is how he put it. And the focus will be on sharing, on community, and cooperation. Wow, what would that be like? And he says there'll be one world religion, which doesn't mean everyone will believe the same. There will be diversity among that, but there will be an understanding that there are some universal spiritual principles that everybody agrees upon. You know, and if you look at the major religions in the world, those principles are there in every major religion. So that will be the commonality that will be expressed. And we're told that these monthly full moon meditations and their different times of the year, the equinoxes and the solstices, will be honored as holy days, because those are the days in which the spiritual realms are close to us and where we can connect with those realms very easily. There's going to be one world political system, he says, where cooperation will supersede competition, where altruism will trump selfishness, and cruelty will be relinquished for kindness. Yay! And lots of advances in science, music, art, and technology. And of course, until humanity reaches a higher state of consciousness, a higher state of evolution, some of those ideals are going to be misused and abused. So we don't really see them manifesting globally yet. But we can keep in mind that that's what's ahead for us, and that can keep us out of despair, I think, and keep us hopeful about what's emerging, what's being born, what's being birthed. There's a prayer by someone whose name I can't pronounce, Rabindranath Tagore. Sorry if I messed that up. But he speaks to this new age, and he speaks to it in the form of a prayer. Where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high. Where knowledge is free. Where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Where words come out from the depth of truth. Where tireless striving stretches its arms toward perfection. Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. It's a wonderful prayer. So one more thing about the Aquarian age that I want to share with you is that Aquarius is very close to the angelic kingdom. And so we have the angelic kingdom, sometimes called the Davic kingdom, and the human kingdom, we're told, are on parallel evolutionary paths. But so far they're not joined. So right now we're like distant cousins, right? But in the new age coming, it's said that we're going to be very closely in contact with the angelic realms, more like siblings. So we will be able to consciously work with them, consciously contact them, we'll be able to see them, we'll be able to access their healing powers. Some people can do that already. There are people who see angels and who can work with them in that way. And I've actually started to do that as part of my practice, because we can invoke that energy, even though, even if you don't believe in angels, you can just imagine their presence. And if you acknowledge that they're there, like this is what I do every day, I acknowledge that there's an angel of my hearth, and I ask for her presence to be in this house. I ask that she work with me to create an environment in this house that will be welcoming and a place of safety and calm and peace and harmony. And I think the most important thing is that we just acknowledge their presence, and we send them our gratitude for the role that they might play in our lives. And we can all work this way with the angelic realms in our own homes, wherever we live. We're going to do that a little bit in our meditation tonight. But I just wanted to give you a taste of what is possible. Like I said, we may not, I don't see them certainly, but the more I've started this practice, the more I can feel them. And I feel it in my heart. When I sit and acknowledge and bless and feel gratitude for and ask for cooperative effort, I can feel that in my heart. So I just imagine that's my angel, the angel of my hearth speaking to me. So we're going to go into meditation now, and as I said, part of this is going to be about you experiencing that in your own imagination. The imagination is very, very powerful. The unconscious part of us doesn't know the difference between the truth and what we imagine. So we can feed that unconscious energy all of our good thoughts, whether we believe them or not, doesn't matter. It's sort of programming your unconscious to that positive experience. So it's the same with things like subtle energies. We just imagine that they're there, and pretty soon we start to feel them, and then someday we'll be able to see them and actually, communicate consciously with them. Okay, so let's get ready for meditation. So let's begin by just noticing our posture, sitting with our spines relatively erect, but with no undue strain or tension. Lowering the shoulders, allowing the neck to release, lowering the jaw, releasing any tension behind the eyes and the forehead, and taking just a few natural rhythmic breaths to quiet the system. Feel the body begin to relax and let go, releasing any tension, constriction. And then using your imagination, imagine the light of the soul above your head as a radiant ball of light. And this soul energy contains all that is the highest within you, all the wisdom, the strength that you've accumulated over lifetimes. And now imagine this ball of light descending until it's sitting across from your abdomen, 6 or 12 inches in front of your abdomen. We're going to move this ball of light, which is your soul's energy, around the body. So on the inhalation, bring the soul's light up to the crown of your head, and on the exhalation, let it travel down the spine into the earth. And do this for 2 or 3 breaths. Inhale up to the crown, exhale down the spine into the earth. And see if you can feel a sense of alignment that takes place as the energy of your soul travels throughout your body. Imagine it filling your body, touching each cell with light. Now imagine in your mind's eye the color lavender. This is the color of Aquarius. Imagine it as a mist that's filled this room, and breathe it into your heart. Acknowledging the energy of Aquarius and welcoming it into your body. This energy blends the heart and the mind. And rest for a moment in this peaceful connection. Now see this soft lavender color healing and relaxing your entire nature. Allow it to create a tenderness, an openness, and receptivity within you. And from this place of openness, I would like you to imagine that you are back in your own home where you live, in your favorite room, in your favorite chair. See yourself sitting there. And now imagine that there's an angel who shares this living space with you. Call her in. Ask her to be with you. Acknowledge her presence. And send her gratitude from your heart in blessing for her presence. See if you can feel this in your heart, imagining that it's real and that she's willing to support you and work with you. So now I would like you to think about 3 qualities that you would like to imbue your home with. How would you like to feel when you walk into your home? What are the energies that you feel would be supportive and nurturing to you and to anyone who enters your place? Share these qualities now with your angel. Tell her that this is the energetic environment that you wish to create in your home. And ask her if she will cooperate with you in creating that energy. Now you can do this in whatever way you wish, but what works for me is to imagine that this angel has a wand, like a magic wand, and she's sprinkling angel dust in each room of my house. And this angel dust contains the energies that I wish to imbue my home with. So if that resonates with you, you can use that, or you can use whatever you like. But take these next few minutes to travel with your angel to each room in your house and imagine the 2 of you blessing each room with those qualities that you want to live in. So bring yourself back to your favorite chair now. If you have a large house, you may not have finished, but you can always come back to that. And ask your angel to be particularly close to you this month. Ask her to help you hold that openness and receptivity to the energies coming in. Ask her to keep alive in you the vision of a new humanity, bathed in the light of unity and equality and right human relationships. Thank her for her presence and for her willingness to work with you. Take a few moments now to allow the vision for humanity to manifest in your imagination. What would this new world, this new humanity really look like? See it in as much detail as you can. What would it be like to honor the diversity in each other? What would it be like to see the divinity in one another? What would a world look like where everyone had housing and food and safety and education? See if you can get a sense, a felt sense of what that would be like to live in a world like that. Now let us together envision all races, religions, nations, and peoples everywhere standing hand to hand around our world. The age of Aquarius cometh. Imbue that thought form with hope, inspiration, joy, peace, beauty, and optimism. And feel those energies go out from you to permeate the earth. We have now created a thought form of a world at peace, in harmony, and we have energized it with our hopes and aspirations. Now we must stand back a bit and release any attachment we might have to the timing of all of this. Put that gently into the hands of the great ones. As our last step, let us recognize again these Aquarian energies of universality, inclusivity, and brotherhood. Feel these energies flow through you now, opening your heart and mind wider and expanding your sense of self. May these divine qualities pour forth from each of us as a healing balm to our troubled world. May we be the water of life that is poured forth to a thirsty humanity. The mantra for Aquarius: water of life am I, poured forth for thirsty humanity. Oh, I forgot I have a poem to read you. This is one I've read before, but it's so beautiful I keep wanting to read it over and over again, especially for Aquarius. It's called Cargo by Greg Kimura. You enter life a ship laden with meaning, purpose, and gifts, sent to be delivered to this hungry world. And as much as the world needs your cargo, you need to give it away. Everything depends on this. But the world forgets its needs, and you forget your mission, and the ancestral maps that used to guide you have become faded scrawls on the parchment of dead pharaohs. The cargo weighs you heavy the longer it's held. Spoilage becomes a risk. The ship sputters from port to port, and at each you ask, is this the way? But the way cannot be found without knowing your cargo. And the cargo cannot be known without recognizing there is a way. And it is simply this: you have gifts. The world needs your gifts. You must deliver them. The world may not know it is starving, but the hungry know, and they will find you when you discover your cargo. So that's the journey of Aquarius, discovering your cargo and sharing it with the world. So think about that this month, What are the gifts that you've been given to share? However small they might feel, they're worthwhile, and they're worthy, and they're yours. And nobody else can give them to the world just like you can. Nobody. We all give our gifts in our own individual way, and they all make a difference. And we all have these beautiful angels to be our allies this month, to help support us and nurture us and hold us and work with us. So don't forget to be grateful and acknowledge their presence in your life, and you'll find them to be a very healing presence for you. They're a wonderful tool for helping to keep you aligned and centered and grounded and hopeful and optimistic. So I encourage you to take advantage of that this month. And thank you so much for coming. Namaste, everyone. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. And you can just envision that happening, envision the water carrier Aquarius pouring its light down onto the planet and filling it up with light. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.